Hello everyone, this is a presentation of Group 5 about genetic engineering. So the learning objectives is describe the principle in genetic engineering recombinant DNA technology and identify the environmental, health, and social implications of genetically modified organisms or GMOs and their potential future impacts and examine how GMOs are regulated. So our main topic is all about genetic engineering. So before we proceed, we all know that most of you heard about the genetic engineering in recent times. And I'm sure that you're curious and you want to know what genetic engineering all about. So in this video presentation, let us explore the strange scientific world of genetic engineering. So before we proceed, let me introduce myself. My name is Jeyceeferl Niegas together with my groups Princess Anne Ruflo, Benjie Pilapil, and Phoebe Llena. So, what is genetic engineering? So, genetic engineering, also known as the recombinant DNA technology, refers to all techniques that allows desirable genetic traits from a plant, animals, or organisms to be incorporated into an unrelated species. The DNA with desirable traits is directly incorporated or recombined more quickly and more reliably into DNA of a target species. So this technology allows plant cells or animal embryos to be utilized in regenerating cells, organs, and even the whole organisms. So thus wider this range of traits is commercial applications is now available to a plant or animal breeder. For example is there is a cat with a beautiful fur and a shiny fur. So what we can do is take out the gene responsible for giving the cat that lovely fur and transfer it to another cat so that they can develop or grow the same set of fur. So basically what we are doing here is changing the creature's genome. So genome is made up of DNA and it is the haploid set of chromosomes, gamete, or microorganisms. In other words, genome is a complete set of genes or genetic material present in a cell or organism. So, GMOs or genetic modified organism is also referred to as transgenic or is a product of genetic engineering. So, also GMOs are living cells or organisms with altered or modified DNA and making them capable of producing new substances. They are performing new functions. So here is the process involving genetic engineering. So kung nakikita nyo sa picture or is nucleus and bacterium. So here is the process involved in genetic engineering. So there is nucleus and bacterium. So nucleus means it is a genetic or double membrane organelle that contains the genetic material and other instructions required for cellular process. While bacterium is a member of a large group or uncellular microorganisms which have cell walls but lack organelles and unorganized nucleus, including some that cause diseases. So number one is DNA is removed from the cell nucleus. Basically, after the DNA removed from the nucleus, second is the scientists remove plasmid DNA from bacterium and a gene is cut from DNA and stand. So fourth is scientists cut open the plasmid so that the gene can transfer to plasmid. And lastly, the cut ends up plasmid and DNA. The foreign DNA will attach to form new loop or plasmid na tinatawag na recombinant DNA. Here is the genetic engineering has proved to be useful in many fields and aspects of society. So, number one is medicines. So, aside from the insulin for disease, several modifically useful proteins are likely interferons, synthetic vaccines against malaria, rabies, and hepatitis B have also been developed. And the process of genetic engineering has also medical process or applications such as screening for genetic diseases and DNA fingerprinting to identify bacteria or viruses that cause diseases. So example of this is human proteins produced by genetically engineered E. coli. Next is for food industry is food can be genetically modified to have more proteins or other enzymes, improvingly to nutritionalized value and even medical properties of these products. Bacteria, fungi, and cultured mammalian cells are used to mass produce these products. So the product is invertase enzymes, protease enzymes, and pictolylelic enzymes, and ethanol. So next is in agriculture. So agriculture is genetically engineered crops or transgenic plants are now available in many countries worldwide. So in 1996, countries such as the United States, Canada, Argentina, Australia, China, or Mexico were already growing transgenic plants in large scale. So, for example, herbicides tolerant and insect resistance is the virus resistant crops offer more effective options for pest control without the use of toxic pesticide while increasing crops yields. So for example is such as applications of plants like transgenic cotton, potato, or corn with all contains or antioxin and detoxin gene from Bacillus thuringiensis or BT. So BT is a common soil bacterium that produces the toxin that affects only certain insects such as leopard, Lepidoptera larvae, or corn borer, not other organisms that may be beneficial to the plant. In the Philippines, genetic engineering is applied in production of crops. Genetically modified corn, for example, has helped farmers' crops become resistant to corn borers. There are currently 400,000 farmers in the country who have raised biotic corn. So another example of the crops now is being genetically modified in the eggplant. So eggplant is the number one vegetable in terms of production in area of the country. So with an average of 21,225 hectares planted each year so many farmers suffered because of the BT or shoot borers. So the BT eggplant expresses BT gene, enabling it to produce the same toxin and make resistant to FSB. So let's proceed to the next presenter.
Good day, sir. My name is Benjie Pilapil and I am the reporter for this topic. The issues and concerns. Genetic engineering is a controversial issue because it possesses ethical concerns. Critics have branded GMO products as Franken food based on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, a story about scientist Victor Frankenstein who created a monster that turned against his own owner. This brand of criticism warns of the possible negative side effect of GMOs. The following are the common issues and concerns on GMOs related to the health and environment. So there are 5 following common issues and concerns on GMOs related to health and environment. So the number 1 is the possible effects on non-target organisms such as beneficial insects, mammals, wildlife, and endangered or threatened species in the environment. So, ang ginanamin diri nga kay the effects of various activities such as pesticide and habitat destruction, pollution, and climate change can have significant impacts on non-target organisms in the environment, including the beneficial insects, mammals, wildlife, and endangered or threatened species. So number 2, possible gene flow to or crossing with other varieties including indigenous crops with wild relatives. So ang ginaingon dito sa number 2 kay gene flow, also a genetic exchange or gene migration, refers to the transfer of genetic material from one population or variety to another. This process can occur different varieties of a crop, between indigenous and introduced crop varieties, and between crops and their wild relatives. Gene flow can have both positive and negative implications depending on the specific circumstances. So number 3 is possible formation of resistant insects, pests, and microorganisms. So ang ginayon sa number 3 kay the development of resistant effects, pests, and microorganisms is a consequence of natural selection and overuse or misuse of pesticides and antibiotics. So number 4 is possible persistence of toxins in the environment. So ginaingon diri sa kay toxins can persist in the environment of various reasons, and their longevity can have significant ecological and human health implications. The persistence of toxins is influenced by several factors including their chemical properties, environmental condition, and how they entered and moved the ecosystem. So number 5 is possible information of human disease such as allergy and cancer. So karing number 5 kay human diseases like allergy and cancer have complex and multifactorial origins with various contributing factors including genetics, environmental factors, and immune system. That's all. Thank you.
Hi everyone, hi sir, this is the group presenter from Group 5. My name is Phoebe Llena. So, here I will explain the GMO contamination. There is a possibility that modified genes may cross with indigenous crops or wild organisms. For example, with the wide proliferation of BT corn, it will sooner or later cross-pollinate native corn varieties, yellow or white corn, that are locally used as food and animal fodder. So what is fodder? The fodder is also called a provender, is any agricultural foodstuff used specifically to feed domesticated livestock such as cattle, rabbits, sheep, horses, chickens, and pigs. Fodder refers particularly to food given to animals rather than that which they forage for themselves. So now, GMO risk. Scientists who are critical of GMOs are questioning the health and environmental risks that GMOs pose. Studies have shown that consuming and producing GMOs can result in the formation of new and more virulent strains of infectious agents. So, the number one is Bt toxin and monarch butterflies. So, a Bt toxin and monarch butterflies is just like hatching eggs, egg hatch, and the caterpillars start eating the plant. They also ingest these spores. Once inside the caterpillar, the spores hatch and become the reproductive stage of parasite. So, para silang parasite. The butterflies survive as in the case of a lighter infection, they do not fly well or live as long as an effective one. So, hindi silang mabuhay ng matagal. So, number 2, bovine growth hormone or RBGH or POSILAC. Now, what is POSILAC? The POSILAC is recombinant bovine growth hormones, RBH, also known as recombinant bovine somatotropins, are synthetic version of the naturally occurring peptide hormone made by cow's pituitary glands. It is important to note that RGBH or RBST is a protein hormone and not steroid hormone, unlike the sex hormone. The number 3, terminator or suicide seed. So now, what is terminator suicide seed? Seeds are an important feature of the spermatophytes or seed plants, which is subdivided into gymnosperms or naked seed plants such as conifers and cycads, and angiosperms, flowering plants with seeds enclosed on ovaries.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Princess Anne Ruflo. I'm the reporter for the last three topics. So, patent issue. The issue of authorization is also present, particularly regarding who is authorized to use modified or altered genes. Ethical issue. Many critics claim that the technology of genetic engineering goes against religion's beliefs because its essence revolves around the idea of playing God, as GMOs directly modified the natural functions and processes of organism. Policy and guidelines. Transgenic plants that are now being used in other countries have undergone strict laboratory and field tests to prove that they are safe for humans and environment. In 2002, DA issued Administrative Order Number 8, or the Rules of Regulations on Importation and Release into the Environment of Plants and Plant Products derived from the use of genetic engineering. So, transgenic plants, also known as genetically modified plants, are plants that been genetically engineered to possess certain desirable traits or characteristics through the introduction of genes from other organisms. For example, transgenic plants are evaluated by three regulatory agencies: the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or USDA, Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, and U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EP. So the last topic is genetic engineering in the Philippines. Agricultural biotechnology is recognized by the Philippines government as an effective tool in attaining food security, sustainable agriculture, and in the promotion of health and food environmental safety. So, researchers' involvement in transgenic crops is conducted at the following institution. First is International Rice Research Institute, or which develops varieties of rice and works environmental sustainability in rice farming. Second is National Institute of Molecular Biology and Biotechnology, which research on in develop programs to achieve sustainability to create better food and food products as well as medical drugs. Third is Philippines Rice Research Institute, which is attached in the Department of Agriculture, or DA, and develops methods and technology to improve crops yields, making agricultural process are efficiently and cost effective. Fourth is Institute of Planning Breeding, which is that handles the development and improvement of plants and crops than other rice. Lastly is Philippines Carabao Center, Science in of Monius, which is also attached to the DA and aims to conserve the country Carabao's population.